Imagine sitting around a fire tens of thousands of years ago when someone in your tribe eats a strange mushroom growing near the riverbank. Within minutes, their eyes widen. They start seeing colors that aren't there, patterns swirling in the darkness, shapes moving in the flames. They speak of spirits, of visions, of another world layered on top of this one. Everyone around the fire watches in stunned silence. What just happened? And more importantly, could this change the way the entire tribe understood reality itself? For most of human history, we've assumed our ancestors lived simple lives focused entirely on survival. Hunt, eat, sleep, repeat. But archaeological evidence tells a stranger story. Long before humans built cities, invented writing, or even settled into permanent villages, they were already deliberately seeking out plants and fungi that altered their minds. This wasn't accidental poisoning, it was intentional, repeated, and deeply woven into how ancient societies understood the world around them. Picture the moment before that first bite. A forager crouches near a riverbank, turning a small, unfamiliar mushroom over in their hands. They've already learned the hard way which plants bring sickness and which bring death. Someone in the tribe likely died testing the wrong berry last season. So why risk this one? Maybe hunger. Maybe desperation during a lean winter when every scrap of food mattered. Or maybe simple curiosity, the same restless instinct that had already driven humans to tame fire and cross oceans. Whatever the reason, someone swallowed it, and what happened next would ripple through the rest of human history. The evidence stretches back further than most people realize. Charred seeds found in prehistoric hearths suggest that certain plant material was burned specifically to be inhaled, not eaten. Residue found on ancient tools and containers has tested positive for psychoactive compounds, meaning someone, somewhere, was preparing these substances with purpose. And cave paintings across multiple continents depict figures with elongated limbs, radiating patterns, and geometric shapes strikingly similar to what modern researchers call entoptic imagery. The same kind of visual patterns people report during altered states of consciousness even today. So why would ancient humans risk consuming unknown plants, many of which could just as easily kill them as enlighten them? The answer likely begins with necessity, not curiosity. Early humans were foragers. Survival meant understanding every plant, root, berry, and fungus in their environment, because the wrong choice could mean death. Through generations of trial and error, they learned which plants healed wounds, which ones eased pain, and which ones caused something far stranger. Vivid hallucinations, altered perception, and profound shifts in mood and thought. Once they discovered this effect, it's easy to imagine they didn't just walk away from it. In small hunter-gatherer societies, someone experiencing a powerful vision wouldn't have been dismissed as strange. They would have been treated as significant. Imagine being the person who first described seeing spirits of ancestors, glowing animals, or visions of the future while under the influence of these plants. To a group with no science, no explanation for dreams, illness, or death, this experience could easily have seemed like a genuine window into another world. These moments may have become the foundation of the earliest spiritual and religious beliefs, long before any organized religion existed. Some researchers go even further, suggesting that altered states of consciousness played a direct role in shaping early human cognition itself. According to what's known as the Stoned Ape hypothesis, exposure to psychoactive fungi may have influenced the development of language, creativity, and abstract thinking in early humans. This idea remains controversial and far from proven, but it points to a genuine mystery that scientists still haven't fully answered. Why did human cognitive abilities expand so rapidly in a relatively short evolutionary window? Diet, in all its strange forms, may have played a bigger role than we ever imagined. Across the world, evidence of this practice appears again and again. In Siberia, indigenous groups have used the Amanita muscaria mushroom, the classic red and white toadstool, in shamanic rituals for thousands of years. In Central and South America, ancient civilizations used peyote and psilocybin mushrooms in religious ceremonies long before European contact. Rock art in North Africa, dated to nearly 10,000 years old, shows figures covered in mushroom-like patterns, holding what researchers believe are fungi in their hands. These weren't isolated incidents scattered across unrelated cultures. They suggest something far more universal, a shared human tendency to seek altered states of mind, regardless of geography or era. But this wasn't simply about escape or pleasure. In nearly every ancient culture where this behavior appears, it was tied to ritual, healing, and spiritual guidance, not casual, everyday use. A designated person, often what modern researchers call a shaman, would consume these substances under controlled communal conditions, often fasting beforehand and surrounded by other members of the tribe. Their visions weren't private experiences, they were shared with the group, interpreted collectively, and used to make sense of illness, death, hunting decisions, and even conflicts between tribes. Imagine the weight placed on that one person's shoulders, expected to return from a terrifying, overwhelming experience with answers the entire tribe depended on. In many ways, these individuals became the world's first spiritual leaders, long before priests, temples, or written scripture existed. Of course, this path was never without danger. Many psychoactive plants and fungi are lethal if consumed incorrectly, and countless early humans likely died learning which ones were safe. This knowledge wasn't gained casually. It was paid for, generation after generation, through trial, error, and tragedy. Somewhere in that long chain of near misses, entire families likely lost someone to a plant that looked almost identical to a safe one, the difference invisible until it was already too late. The plants that eventually became central to ritual and healing were the survivors of an extremely long and often fatal process of discovery, a hidden history most of us never learn about in school. By the time agriculture emerged and civilizations began to rise, this relationship between humans and psychoactive plants didn't disappear. It evolved. Ancient Egyptian, Greek, and Vedic texts all reference substances believed to alter consciousness during religious ceremonies. Some historians even argue that the ancient Greek Eleusinian mysteries, one of history's most secretive religious rites, may have involved a psychoactive substance derived from fungus-infected grain. If true, this means one of the most influential spiritual traditions in Western history may have had roots in the same altered states our prehistoric ancestors first discovered around a fire. Today, modern science is only beginning to seriously study what ancient humans seemingly understood instinctively. Researchers are now studying certain psychoactive compounds for their potential role in treating depression, anxiety, and trauma, revisiting substances that were dismissed or criminalized for decades. It turns out our ancestors may have stumbled onto something far more complex than simple recreation. They were engaging with the human mind itself, exploring its limits long before anyone had the language to describe what they were doing. So the next time you think of ancient humans as simple, primitive people focused only on survival, remember this. Somewhere around a fire, tens of thousands of years ago, someone bit into a strange mushroom and experienced something no human had ever consciously explored before. That single moment of curiosity may have helped shape early religion, ignite the first sparks of abstract thought, and push the boundaries of human consciousness itself. Long before science, philosophy, or written history, our ancestors were already asking one of the biggest questions humanity has ever faced. What else is out there, beyond what our eyes can normally see?